As an ESL teacher, or English as a second language teacher, you have your TEFL certification. But when you transition to private one-on-one online tutoring, you begin to question your readiness. You look at the standard templates and theories, wondering how to actually start and how to get to the heart of what a learner needs so they continue their lessons with you. Teaching activities are easy to find, but the most important question you must ask is this: what activity does this learner need next? Let me share one of my student success stories with you. Beyond teaching theory and beyond achieving your TEFL or other teaching certificate. Hi, I'm Marie Richards, an experienced online English teacher. For over 10 years, I've helped English learners worldwide improve their English for work, for study, and for their everyday lives. How did I do that? Through over 14,000 online lessons. Now I'm sharing with other global online English teachers practical strategies, student success stories, and the habits that help English learners reach their variety of goals. I'll call my student Anna. This is not her real name. At 13 years old, Anna was already multilingual. English was her third language, and she had a clear, immediate goal: to pass the California initial ELPAC exam. That's ELPAC exam. The outcome is she later received an official overall scale score of 522. Her report classified her as Initial Fluent English Proficient, or IFEP. Her oral language and written language were both reported as well developed. After the assessment, my student told me, I felt fully prepared. There were no surprises. But one polished paragraph could easily have given me the wrong picture of her readiness. That paragraph changed what I taught next. You see, teacher education explains the teaching and learning principles. Then you have to take those principles and turn them into real lessons and ask, what do I do next? I made 5 connected teaching decisions. I call the process GUIDE, GUIDE. Ground the teaching in the learner's goal. Unpack successful performance. In other words, what must the learner understand, say, read, or write? Identify independent performance skills. Design and adjust and readjust the path. Evaluate the evidence. Let's start where the teaching relationship started, with Anna's goal. When a new student first enters on my screen, I listen for 3 things. What are you preparing to do in English? When and where will you need to do it? And what would feeling ready look or feel like to you? In TESOL, TESOL, this is called needs analysis. In practical teaching, it's also the beginning of the relationship. The learner sees that the plan starts with her purpose or his purpose, not with my collection of templates and teaching materials. Anna did not need me to begin with a generic grade 8 English course, which reads Improve Your English. This would be too broad. She wanted to understand the ELPAC assessment, show what she could do, and walk in feeling prepared instead of surprised. So, teachers, a goal is not a curriculum, but it gives you a destination, like Google Maps. The teacher still has to build the map. The next question was, what would Anna actually have to do? The initial ELPAC assesses 4 domains in English: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. But 4 domain names do not create a lesson plan. Information and public practice materials helped me turn the assessment into observable language actions. Listen, select the information, organize ideas, summarize, explain, justify, speak, write. For example, summarizing a short academic presentation requires much more than grammar practice. Anna would need to listen, decide what mattered, take useful notes from her listening, organize the information, and communicate it clearly to the examiner. The test name was not the teaching plan. Those real task demands became the teaching plan. The official practice materials can be used to prepare learners for either the initial or summative ELPAC. Then came the most important diagnostic question. What could Anna do without a lot of support? In one early activity, she used a model paragraph about Taylor Swift and clearly labeled and structured the writing frame. Her finished practice paragraph looked excellent, but she had followed the model almost word for word. That was not cheating. A model can make an unfamiliar structure clear and give students a useful pattern to rehearse. But the paragraph showed supported performance. It did not show independent control. Anna could follow the structure while it was right in front of her, but I still couldn't tell whether she could select information, organize ideas, and explain relationships when the teaching support was not there or was reduced. If I had judged only the polished product, I could have confused rehearsal with readiness. So I compared 3 things: what mattered to Anna, what the assessment required, and what she could do without substantial help. The polished paragraph was not the final evidence. It was diagnostic evidence, and it changed the teaching route. I changed one learning condition at a time. First, familiar content made the paragraph structure understandable and visible. Next, I gave her a paragraph to write about Martin Luther King Jr. This changed the content while keeping some support in place. Then the content changed again with topics like water, physics, and other science topics to increase the academic demand. Building her skills in listening and note-taking came before writing. Writing then became the basis for speaking. Finally, I reduced the model so I could see what Anna could produce more independently. The paragraph writing structure was one scaffold. It was not the goal. This is what personalization meant in Anna's case. It did not mean picking a fun topic and calling it individualized instruction. It meant choosing the next task because the previous performance had revealed a specific need. When information disappeared from a paragraph, I did not automatically call it a writing problem. I needed to figure out these questions. Did Anna hear the information? Did she understand it? Did she recognize which detail mattered? Did she write it down in her notes? The possible answers to each question led to different lessons. When Anna used a connector incorrectly, we did not stop the whole lesson for a separate grammar worksheet. We looked at the 2 ideas she was trying to connect. Was she showing time, like when or after that? Was she showing cause, like because? Or was she showing contrast, like but or however? For example, if one idea explains the reason for another idea, because makes sense. If the ideas were not truly opposite, but does not. Then she chose the connector that matched her meaning, revised the sentence, and continued with the task. As the student's evidence changed, so did the learning path. So that is the reason for part of my success. Teaching English to one person online gives me, the teacher, that unique flexibility. In a later task, Anna listened to academic content, recorded 5 notes, wrote a scientific paragraph, and gave an oral summary. This gave me a much clearer picture of what she could do on her own. She selected important information, organized it into a paragraph, used words like when, after that, and because to connect her ideas, and then explained the content aloud. That same task also showed me 3 things Anna still needed to work on. She left out one important scientific detail. One sentence with because ran on too long, and she used but when the 2 ideas didn't really contrast. None of that erased what she did well. She simply showed me where to go next. In the next lesson, I would help her check her notes for missing information, practice where to end a sentence where she uses because, and help her use but only when there is a real contrast. That is formative assessment in everyday teaching. The work does not get a score and disappear. It tells you what to teach next. So where did pronunciation fit in? This success story also shows where pronunciation belongs in goal-focused teaching. Pronunciation does not automatically become a separate accent reduction course. During a speaking task, I ask 3 practical questions. Could the listener understand the message? How much effort did it take to understand? Did a sound, stress pattern, pause, or intonation choice get in the way of the task? If it did, that feature would become a brief teaching target centered around intelligibility. Then the learner would repeat the same meaningful task. If the message was already clear, an accent difference did not automatically become an error. In this case, the immediate gaps were information selection, organization, and connectors. I wasn't going to invent a pronunciation problem when the evidence did not show one. So, pronunciation earns lesson time when it helps the message reach the listener. Let's move on to growing the teaching relationship. Goal-focused teaching also strengthens the teaching relationship between the teacher and the student. The learner sees that you remember the destination, notice the evidence, and can explain why the next task matters. And that is why I use ChatGPT project folders to help me remember and stay on track with the next scaffolded task. A useful way to close a lesson is with 4 simple lines. Your goal was this. Today you showed this. Therefore, the next small target is this, and that is why our next task will be this. Students trust the process more when they can see where they're going, what they have already accomplished, and why the next step matters. And that's why my online students stay with my tutoring. So Anna's official report documented an overall score of 522, an IFEP classification, and a well-developed performance in both oral and written language. The initial ELPAC is an identification assessment. It was not a pre-test, post-test experiment. So I'm not claiming that tutoring alone caused a score of 522. The score documents the outcome. Anna's work samples document the learning path. Her multilingual experience, schooling, other instruction, independent practice, and personal effort also mattered a lot. So here's what I can say with confidence. Anna had a goal that mattered to her. Together, we broke that goal into the language skills she would need. Her work showed us what was already working and what still needed attention. So I adjusted the lessons as we went along, based on what she actually produced. Anna told me she felt prepared, and her official results showed well-developed oral and written language. But IFEP does not mean perfect English. It does not mean a student never needs support again. California descriptors say that students at this level may still need occasional support with familiar school tasks and light support when the task or topic is less familiar. So here's the guide one more time. Ground the teaching relationship in a goal that matters to the learner. Unpack what successful performance requires. Identify what the learner can do without a lot of support. Design the smallest useful next step and adjust it when the evidence changes. Evaluate the performance and use it to choose what happens next. Guide is not a collection of activities, it's a way to make better next teaching decisions. The destination might be the ELPAC, IELTS, TOEFL, a job interview, a nursing handoff, an academic presentation, or a professional presentation, or a conversation with a child's teacher. The activities will change, but the thinking process stays the same. So think of one learner you teach. What destination matters to that learner? And what language action is hidden inside that destination? Share both in the comments below. Real learners, personalized lessons, visible progress. If you benefited from this video, go ahead and click the like and subscribe buttons and the notification bells. I'll see you next time with another student success story.